Welcome to another Greek lesson. Today we go over masculine first declension nouns and we meet prepositions. Last time we looked, or rather recently, we looked at adjectives and found them to be awfully useful creatures. Prepositional phrases will be another very common and useful feature of Greek. Remember, as you're viewing this, that I do teach classes in Greek at pottersschool.org and also some adult pre-seminary courses at alts.edu. Always have something happening at Wittenberg Door Campus Ministries, wittenbergcomo.com. So, now in the first declension, there are a few nouns which are masculine in gender. A few nouns which are masculine. Now, let's remember here that declension does not equal gender. Declension is based on a similar pattern of suffixes. It is not based on all of the nouns being the same gender. The first declension in Greek is mostly feminine, but there are a few masculine nouns, and we're going to see how those work today. The second declension is mostly masculine and neuter, but you may have seen that there are a few feminine nouns of the second declension, like nasos for island, or nosos for disease, or hodos for road or way. The third declension, which we have yet to meet, is about equal across the genders, and that's going to underline to everybody how very important it is to memorize an article along with a noun. That way you will get the gender for each noun. And we remember that adjectives tend to follow the same kind of patterns as nouns. There are adjectives which follow the first and second declension. Later, when we meet the third declension, you'll see that there are some third declension adjective also. Well, let's meet a first declension masculine noun. Here's one, ha prophetes, the prophet. You'll notice the genitive singular is unusual for the first declension. It ends with an oo. That looks rather like a second declension noun. But the other endings, ace, a, ain, I, own, ice, os, those are typical of the first declension. Now the thing to realize here is that these are masculine nouns, so they'll have an article like ha prophetes, to prophetu, to prophete. I don't write very well with my mouse. Ton prophetein. And then the plural, hoi propheti, ton propheton, tois prophetais, tous prophetos. You see the adjective agrees with its noun in gender, number, and case, but not necessarily in ending. So you see here the article adjective will still be in the same gender, number, and case as the noun, but it may have a different form. The masculine definite article follows the second declension, while the first declension masculine noun is going to look like a first declension word. The exception, again, here in the genitive singular, which is going to look rather like a second declension. All right, now that's it for first declension masculine nouns. Let's turn to another grammar concept, and that is the preposition. A preposition shows the relationship between one word or idea and another word or idea. We used to use an illustration sometimes in English grammar that a preposition shows anywhere that super squirrel is in relation to a tree. So on the tree, over the tree, under the tree, in the tree, above, below. You see, all in showing the relationship between super squirrel on the one hand and the tree on the other hand. Now, in English, we'll see a preposition followed by an object of a preposition. And sometimes there will be an article, or there may be an article, there may be some other kind of adjective in that prepositional phrase. So, we can be, I'm the person in the big yellow hat. Oh my, the big yellow. They're adjectives describing the object of the preposition hat. Or I guess that's the man with the big yellow hat. Just like in English, you're normally going to see a prepositional phrase making sense as a group of words that go together. And I always encourage students to learn those clusters of words that make sense together. They will be gathered together in position normally, and they will also act as one idea, one thought. The big yellow hat. That's one thought. Now, the trick in Greek is that the object of the preposition must be in a particular case depending on the preposition. So some prepositions will have objects in the accusative case. Some prepositions will have objects in the dative case. Some will have objects in the genitive case. Some prepositions can have objects in multiple different cases. So you always want to memorize the preposition and the case it governs. You'll find that in the vocabulary list in a book, or you'll find it in a lexicon. Any kind of a dictionary will point you in that direction. But memorize not only the preposition, but the case it governs. And sometimes a preposition will have multiple different meanings depending on the case it governs. So, for instance, we'll have a preposition like dia. All right, dia. If the object is in the genitive case, then dia is going to mean through, like diameter. But what if the object is in the accusative case? Then dia means on account of. So you may want to memorize that as two separate vocabulary words. The word is the same, but the meaning may be affected by the case of the object. So be aware of that. Prepositions also have some special case implications. They often work this way, but not always. You'll notice I've used the word often several places on this screen because it's not necessarily going to be what happens, but it will very frequently. The accusative case, as an object of a preposition, often shows direction or focus. So we'll have a preposition like ace, which means into, and you see the object is accusative because you go into something. It's the direction you would be going. The genitive case often shows source, possession, or separation. So, for instance, the preposition ek has an object in the genitive case, and it means out of or from. You see, it shows source, possession, or separation. It would be really odd to have a preposition with an object in the accusative case showing separation. That would just be unusual. So you see, these are kind of guidelines. Accusative for direction or focus, genitive for source, possession, or separation. The dative case often shows location, instrument, or accompaniment. So we might have epi with the dative case means on or upon, like the epicenter of an earthquake is the place upon which the earthquake is centered. It shows location. And it's not going to show where it came from. It's not going to show where it's going to, but it'll normally be in the dative case showing a location. Now, something very important to remember is that the nominative case cannot, I don't say normally is not, I say cannot, be the object of anything. The nominative case is used for subjective things, not objective things. So watch that. The object of a preposition will only be in the accusative, genitive, or dative case. Let's have another quick review of the normal uses of case then, because we've added some. Nominative case for subject, the genitive for possession, source, separation. Anytime you want to say of, often objects of prepositions indicating source or origin. Dative case often shows instrumentality, location, reception, indirect object. So that's our whole to or for thing. Sometimes by or with for instrumentality, right? I'm going to fix it with a hammer. It can be the objects of prepositions often indicating location. And then the accusative case is normally used for a direct object or for the object of a preposition, and that preposition would often indicate direction or focus. All right, well, that's what we have for this segment: masculine first declension nouns and prepositions. Enjoy doing Greek, I certainly do.